With Starfleet's back against the wall thanks to the Federation Council, and seemingly no solution to their paradox, help would come from an unexpected source, which would lead directly to the revival of an old class of starship, repurposed into what would be known as the Colombia Class. But what do we know about this remarkable starship design? Well, today we'll find out. Hello good Trinaries, Taz here with an extra special message for you. Today's video is brought to you by Astro Kings, another amazing and one of my favorite real-time multiplayer sci-fi mobile games. It challenges you to rewrite human history in the depths of space, after the Crux have invaded your planet. This month, Astro Kings is celebrating its 4-year anniversary, marking the occasion with brilliant rewards and exciting events. Your task is to revitalize the colony while fighting off aliens and pirates that want to raze your civilization to the ground. Construct, upgrade, and rebuild the planet's ruins by managing your colony, harvesting and collecting galactic resources, and setting planetary policies to lead your people. Build a variety of starships and recruit and collect legendary heroes to help you complete your missions and lead your battles to victory. Research weapons and technologies to strengthen your nation's power and prestige, and complete daily missions to collect extra special rewards. Join powerful alliances and join galactic federations to team up with other players, immersing yourself in epic MMO and PvP battles. As a new commander in Astro Kings, you will learn everything about running the Imperium, managing resources, rebuilding facilities, and growing the most powerful starship fleet to defeat your enemies. Download Astro Kings now by clicking the link in the description below or by scanning the QR code you see now on screen, and use the exclusive code AK4TH and claim the special anniversary rewards. And begin today to build your empire and rewrite human history. And trust me, you won't be disappointed. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using beta canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Colombia Class from Star Trek Online, to better understand its place in the Star Trek universe. Please note, this video is an update of an older 2-part video I made a long time ago. Being a favorite video of mine, I had always intended to update it, when I had a 3D model worthy of remaking the video, that is. And thanks once again to ThatGuyAndres, that day is finally here. Now this is my own little bit of fan fiction for the design, and I think it makes sense as a redemption tale of a brilliant man, with no disrespect meant at all towards Star Trek Online. But of course, as always, because this is just a little bit of my own fan fiction mixed with beta canon, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust, and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. By the year 2275, the Constitution, Miranda, and Oberth classes had all been seen as huge successes for Starfleet Command, at least in the eyes of the general public. For the Federation Council, however, the situation was a bit different. On paper, Starfleet's plan to update and upgrade its technology and look throughout the galaxy seemed to be a logical one. The refit USS Enterprise historic mission to save Earth from the cloud entity known as V'ger had shown that the resources devoted to refitting that particular starship had been justified, and the various missions the Enterprise had undertaken since its shakedown had continually proved that design's worth time and time again. But what the public didn't know about the refit and the state of the Federation at the time would cause an endless series of problems for Starfleet. First, though successful, the refit of the Enterprise had proven a lengthy and overly intensive process to complete, considering a starship of that class could be constructed from the ground up in a little over half the time it took to refit the Enterprise. The second, much larger problem was the Federation's dwindling resources. The switch from durotanium hull plating to a tritanium one had been seen as part of the success of the new Enterprise, and moving forward, Starfleet would decide all its starships to be constructed of the tritanium plating, as it was far stronger and could absorb much more weapons energy than its durotanium counterpart. But to make tritanium plating took tritanium ore, a substance at this point in history not regularly found within the Federation. Tritanium was also a hard substance to mine, and a hard substance to convert to hull plating after mining had been complete, which meant that Starfleet shipyards were constantly running out of the substance while building the starship designs they already had. So, to add yet another design requiring this material could seriously hamper Starfleet's efforts to build up the fleet. Nevertheless, early in 2275, Starfleet Command presented the Federation Council with 6 other starship designs for approval, and were shocked when all 6 designs were rejected. You see, the Federation Council had their own issues to deal with. Having 2 Klingon wars in as many decades, the resurgence of the Romulan Empire, frequent and devastating encounters with the Orion Syndicate, the Tholian Assembly seemingly everywhere watching the Federation, and even the Zenkethi, who always seemed ready to go to war, several Federation member worlds were not willing to commit valuable resources on Starfleet's flight of fancy starship designs. Many member worlds had not forgotten the introduction of the Atlas class prior to the refit of the Constitution class. The Atlas class had been very resource intensive, and Starfleet had promised the Vulcan moon in regards to what this class would be able to achieve in both strength and speed. Of course though, the Atlas class would be a complete failure, being only slightly better than its pre-refit Constitution class sisters. In a move that surprised the entire Council, the Andorian and Tellarite delegations flat out refused to even consider Starfleet's new starship designs, and when Ambassador Sarek of Vulcan added his voice to theirs, Starfleet knew it had a problem. The member worlds wanted Starfleet to upgrade their starship designs and create new starship classes that could protect them, yet at the same time was not willing to give Starfleet the resources it required to do so. Heated exchanges between Starfleet and member world delegations erupted, as well as intense debates between the member worlds themselves, until eventually the vote was taken and Starfleet was sent back to the drawing board to come up with new designs that would basically take no resources to create. An impossible task that had left Starfleet completely deflated. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Daystrom Institute was having its own rather large problem. Thanks to the M5 incident, the Institute had fallen into disrepute, having lost the trust they had built up with Starfleet over the years. Dr. Richard Daystrom, who the Institute was named after, had had a complete mental breakdown, and although rehabilitated and exonerated of any direct wrongdoing in the M5 debacle, was still not seen as a great leader to still be in charge of the Institute, and once he was declared medically fit, Daystrom returned to his duties at the Institute, determined to pick up the pieces left in the wake of the M5 failure. It was at this time that Starfleet Vice Commander and Chief Robert April would stop by the Institute to see his old friend and offer up some encouragement, and he would tell Daystrom about Starfleet's design problems, getting Daystrom's brilliant mind flowing on the issue. Going through the Resource and Atlas class problems brought up by the member worlds, April didn't expect much from Daystrom. But then Daystrom asked a simple question that caught April off guard. The question being, why did the Vulcans not approve these new starship designs? It was a question no one had bothered to ask, and so April agreed to set up a meeting with Ambassador Sarek to discuss the matter with Daystrom. When the two men met with the Vulcan, he assured them that the starship designs were both logical and impressive, prompting Daystrom to ask why Sarek had voted against them then in the first place. Put simply, Vulcan's new High Commander had instituted several environmental reforms for their colonies and the home world. Vulcan had always been a relatively environmentally friendly planet, but these reforms went above and beyond their land to encompass the star systems themselves. They had begun a program of dismantling their starships and recycling them into various new designs, and this had proved quite popular with the Vulcan people. And so, noticing Starfleet Command had a huge amount of filled starship decommission yards, the Vulcan High Command felt that Starfleet should follow their lead. On the surface it was a great idea, but ultimately proved quite impossible for Starfleet. Going back to the Institute, Daystrom decided that the Institute would solve the problem for Starfleet, and in that process, hopefully reaffirm Starfleet's faith in the Institute. Sifting through records of all the decommissioned shipyards, Daystrom came up with one class that piqued his attention, the NX class refit. This class had been a refit version of the NX class, which was Starfleet's first Warp 5 vessel. The thing that caught his eye, though, was the fact that the NX class refit had used an unusual reinforced hull material known at the time as Victrium. By combining Duratanium and a Victrium alloy at the molecular level, while simultaneously increasing the hull's thickness, the NX class refit's hull was virtually as strong as a Tritanium hull. At the time, Starfleet had used this new technique to allow the hull to withstand the stresses of this class's dual warp core system during the Earth-Romulan War. But with the birth of the Federation and the combining of technologies, this specific Starfleet development had been virtually forgotten and not purposed for any other class. And so Dr. Richard Daystrom assembled a team and set to work on creating an innovative, easily refit design of the already created NX-class refit hull, to solve both Starfleet's and the Federation's issues. But could Daystrom achieve the Institute's goal? Would the Federation accept this new design? Well, tune in next week for the exciting conclusion to the Colombia Class early design history. I hope to see you then. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the events surrounding the class as I've laid them out here? Do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. I'd also like to thank Astro Kings for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to download their awesome app and start living your space dreams today. Want to help the channel satisfy both Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets? Then consider becoming a channel patron. The link to our Patreon account is in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Live long and prosper.